critical move has come from Israel. The most important general of the Iranian militants has been captured on the Israeli side. However, in an instant, everything was mixed up. In the confessions of the general of the Iranian militants, the inconceivable conspiracy against the Israeli army has stunned the whole world. At exactly this point, this is the first time the prospect of World War II has come to the fore so much, and the USA has sent a large number of its ships to the Mediterranean. The war between Israeli and Gaza militants has recently been faced with quite critical developments. A large number of Eastern Bloc countries that follow anti-Israeli policies have also taken action on this incident. Israel's clearing of the points belonging to Gaza militants, located in the region one by one, would be called the beginning of a more complicated process in many areas. But at this very moment, the critical move came from Iran. It was not in Iran's interest for Israel to exert great pressure in this region. Although Iran's continuous support of the Gaza militants since the beginning of the war has attracted reactions from many countries, Iran's attitude at this point has been qualified to create the foundations of a rather big confusion. At this point, with the policies to be followed and the tension to be experienced from a regional point of view, increasing the process of change has started in all areas. The allegations that Iran intends to establish a new dominance in the region and is taking measures against some of its benefits have begun to reveal a very big problem. But it was precisely at this point that a development appeared that would completely confuse things. Iran has begun to take some steps to provide support to the Gaza militants in large numbers. Although these were done in complete secret at first, it would also be the beginning of a problematic process in many ways. Aware of the difficulties that this kind of resistance against the Israeli army will bring in the continuation of this kind of resistance, Iran has started cooperating with illegal organizations. This cooperation made many countries, especially the United States, very nervous and prepared the ground for them to enter into a severe warning process. But at this point, a critical operation was signed in the arrangements made regarding what happened. The Israeli army, which entered the most critical tunnel, managed to capture the general of the Iranian militants at exactly this point, and his confessions have stunned the whole world. The general, who played a key role in the agreement made by the Iranian militants within the framework of cooperation in Gaza, and whose identity was kept secret for security reasons, was captured thanks to the incredible operation on the tunnel. The group, which wanted to achieve regional superiority over the Israeli army, wanted to make some moves on the Gaza border, but was captured shortly after. His top scans revealed that this name had previously actively participated in Iran's operations against Israel. Realizing that in the event of a possible war, this region would be cleared of Iranian troops by the West in a short time, Iran was using a different opportunity that it had. In this event, also called the Shadow War, he was preparing the ground for the formation of a very difficult process through the illegal organizations he fed himself. The progress of many strategies created at this point through this general has completely fallen into the water with the passing of this name, which is now considered the main source of information in all areas, into the hands of Israel. And it was precisely at this point that things got completely confused. Because the confessions made by the critical general of the Iranian militants changed everything. The critical general of the Iranian militants stated that Iran is aware of all kinds of steps to be taken in the region. At this point, the general, who also confirmed that both weapons and a large number of ammunition support were provided to the Gaza militants, stated that things are now moving differently in all areas, and a new state will be established in Gaza in a short time. This incident took up a lot of space in the world press. The possibility of a possible problem to progress mainly through this point has now shown Iran's demand to settle on the Mediterranean coast in all areas. These confessions brought the whole world to its feet. In addition to supporting an illegal organization, Iran, which wants to exploit the natural resources in Gaza, supported this organization, which is focused on spreading its own thought, was at the extreme end in every sense. Iran, on the other hand, has denied almost all of these allegations. But life has taken a huge step with the towel, and a large number of missiles and unmanned aerial vehicles began to be fired from Iran into Israel towards one of the most important points in the region. And that would have changed things completely. The missiles fired by Iran at Israel were replaced shortly after these confessions. At this point, the fact that the places that Iran wanted to hit proceeded from the axis of the points where the captive Iranian militants were located actually proved the reality of the events to the whole world. As a result of the mistakes that Iran made, it also faced a very big problem. But exactly at this point, critical moves came from the USA after what happened. U.S. aircraft carriers have started moving towards the Mediterranean Sea to defend Israel. This has been recorded as a powerful step that will deal a huge blow to the new state that Iran wants to establish in the region. A very difficult process has also shown itself for Iran when U.S. ships have arrived in this region. While Western countries announced the embargoes they will impose on Iran in a row, the fact that this aimless missile attack was stopped by Iron Domes actually allowed a lot of information about the process to be revealed. But exactly what happened at this point would have caused very severe damage to Iran's regional dominance. The U.S. statement that it would oppose any war in this region and support Israel in any way laid the foundations of a very important structure in many ways. But at this point, a critical support has come from China to Iran as well. He had once again shown the whole world how heavy this two-sided polarization is. China has followed a rather peculiar role in these recent events in the Middle East. China, which is clearly hostile to the Israeli military on some issues, has also made some statements that many problems related to the current situation are basically progressing along this. China, which announced that it was allied with Iran, showed how complicated things were going in many areas by sending a Navy ship to the Mediterranean at the first moment of the war. The fact that he made some statements in support of Gaza militants and Iran, which have such ordinary problems against the Israeli army, also paved the way for some intelligence that regional tensions will reach very extreme points. But the last steps taken at this point have changed everything, and the messages of support for Israel came in a row. At this point, the comments made by war analysts have stunned the whole world. According to war analysts, the Israeli army was at a point where it could take some very important steps in many areas. In addition, due to the policies followed and the chaos experienced at many points, there is not even a slightest point where Gaza militants, who are considered representatives of Iran, will take refuge in the region. However, while the Gaza militants, who have now entered a very difficult period in all areas, are struggling to ensure that the problems related to the process are not more extensive, it has become possible for them to receive opposing support from many countries as a result of their illegality. It was also noteworthy that together with their managers, who were directly sought by some countries with a red bulletin, they were now likely to form the basis of a great chaos in the Middle East in every field. This, in turn, has begun to provide a lot of information about how the Gaza militants will now proceed and pave the way for the clarification of the steps taken by the Israeli army.